Hey everyone, welcome back to Colourful Indian. It is so good to see you here. We're going to be going through the brand new Nomad palette, Ghost Town, USA. I was so excited when I started seeing the hints, mostly because I absolutely love Westerns and I absolutely love playing Red Dead Redemption. Which is a game and it's all about the Wild West. So this palette may just become one of my absolute favorites just because of that. Like, oh my goodness, I actually watched The Lone Ranger and a new show called The English just to get like all inspired and ready for this palette. Like I was just so into it. So anyway, my name is Ranita. I love to do makeup tutorials, reviews, swatches, and lifestyle videos. So if that's something that you enjoy, then I'd love to see more of you. Remember to subscribe if you like the video. And this video is going to obviously have product shots and then swatches and then tutorials. So this is the cover of the new palette, and as you can see, it looks absolutely amazing. And just looking at the shades at the back over here too, this got me so excited. You can see that it's got like this really cool picture that actually changes. And if you actually had the other Nomad palette, by the way, which was Haunted Europe, it was a similar thing that they had done, and I really like it. I think it's so cool, and it definitely reminds me of my childhood. I know that there are ghosts in Red Dead Redemption, and when I saw this, I really thought that was crazy and just freaking awesome, like all at the same time. I love the amount of detail that they've put into it, obviously, and it does say that this is designed on location, ghost hunting in America's Old West. I wish I could do that. Oh my goodness, that would be a dream come true. And they're supporting the Birds of Prey at the Peregrine Fund. So for those of you who don't know Nomad, and if this is your first time trying out Nomad, well, they always donate, a portion of the proceeds to a charity. So I thought this was pretty nice because, yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. So let's look at the palette now because I'm so excited to show you those colors. So we're gonna just open that and we're just gonna take a look. Oh my goodness, look at those gorgeous shades. So basically over here we have extra fine pigments for smoother than silver feel and richer than platinum payoff, infused with prickly pear cactus seed oil to keep colors fresh no matter what dusty town you ride into. So these are 9 coolest sterling mattes and 9 glitziest gold shimmers inspired by the ghostly towns of the Wild West. So wow, that actually sounds amazing. Let me just read a bit more about this. These settlements, once bustling with gunslingers, gamblers, and gold diggers, still lay intact hundreds of years later after fortunes dried up and residents disappeared. Stop if you dare to explore these decaying towns and experience their spine-chilling happenings, sounds of clanging metal and empty mines, a rush of cool air on a warm, windless night, and the unexplained sightings in the vacant hotel makes you realize that perhaps the ghost town isn't completely deserted after all, and that some inhabitants are still there. That is kind of creepy, but I would so totally love to go and actually experience that for myself. I decided to swatch all the brown tones first, and then I went into the cooler tones. So that's basically why the swatches look as they do. They are a bit messy, but I was in a rush, so I do hope that you can excuse that. What I noticed from swatching the palette is that it has a lot of similar tones. As you can see, there are lots of browns. Even some of the shimmers look quite similar. Like if you look at Gold Rush and Calico, California, which are those 2 shimmer shades over there, they do look similar. So when working with them, I noticed that there were slight differences in shades. The palette is actually an extension of the Okavango palette because so many of the tones seemed similar. And when I looked at this color story, I noticed that it reminded me of a landscape from a long time ago. So the only drawback for me here was that when I finally came to swatch Ghost Town and Arrested Decay, they kind of hard panned, and I had actually done these swatches after doing my looks. I didn't have the problems when I was actually doing my look, so I wonder if it's because I accidentally added some liquid to them. Other than that, everything went well. So anyway, now that we've completed looking at the product description, the swatches on both skin tones, we're gonna get into the looks. I'm so excited. So we will be doing one on each eye. I just want to kind of show you what you can get out of this palette, and I'm super excited. So I'll see you at that tutorial. I'm going to be starting with the warmer side of the palette first. So as you can see, it has been separated by like all these gorgeous warm tones over here, and then when you move down here, it's got more of like greens and like cooler tones. So I kind of want to start over here, and then we're going to be moving our way that side as we go on with the tutorials. I think I'm going to go in with Deadwood first. So that's the deepest brown in this palette, at least on the warm tone side, because I'm gonna put some of that right here so you can see what that looks like. It's almost like a black. I am tapping in the places I want more pigment, and I'm blending in the places I don't need as much color. Next we have Bandit Queen. Let's try that one. It's another brown. I'm just gonna tap it over here and kind of blend it in. And I think the last shade that I want to go in for is going to be Undead Nightmare. Very, very light brown, so I'm just kind of using that to kind of set a bit of my base. It's coming out kind of gray on my eyes, actually. That's interesting. Undead Sheriff, that is. I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, it's coming out an interesting shade of gray, and I was not expecting that. Okay, so I'm going in with my very first shimmer, and that's going to be a silver shade. This is called Quicksilver, and I'm going to be putting it right here in the inner corners of my eye. Wow, I did go in with the base. Oh my goodness. So it literally is just, it's like butter, the way that it's gliding on. We're going to go in with Tombstone. Wow, these are like these are literally like cream eyeshadows. They really are, and I don't think that Nomad's previous formulas have really been like this, but it really feels like cream. Just, you know, you're just gliding cream onto your eyes. Alright, so I'm going to go in with the shade Bandit Queen, and I'm just gonna apply it right here. And I think I'm only going to be using this one matte for this look, because what I want to do is, like I said, I want to feature all of the shades for you first. I do have plans to do more creative looks with the palette later. So before we go further, I just want to highlight the difference between this brown and this brown. So this brown over here, which is, you know, dead wood, you can see that this is a very chocolatey kind of brown, and it's so deep that when I first put it on my eyes, I thought that this was actually more of a black. And then you come to this one over here, which is one shade above that. This is Bandit Queen. You can see it's kind of like, it's definitely a brown, but it's kind of like a gray undertone or something going on there, because it feels like it's very smoky. Like this would be a lovely color to use in a smoky look. So I just want to highlight that difference before we move on to like the next shades that I'm using. So we're going to be going in with Copper Penny and Rhyolite Nevada. So these two basically, this one and that one. So this is the Rhyolite shade. So you're gonna get two different silvers, it seems. Wow, this is definitely, it's kind of like more gold toned than the Quicksilver shade. And let's try out Copper Penny. I feel like these are just beautiful. Like this is a pure silver over here, and then you have a yellow gold. On this side you have a yellow kind of silver. It's almost not really silver though. It just looks like a silver when you initially don't see this silver, but then when I come back like this, I can see this is more gold, and then over here this is like copper, but it's definitely a different gold from that gold. So okay, I'm gonna clean up my face, and then I'll show you what the first two looks are like. Hey, so this is what the first two looks look like. With all the, you know, makeup on my face, I guess. And I have to say that this kind of reminds me a bit of Whistler's Snow Lodge, the only difference obviously being the formula of the eyeshadows. So I was a little concerned that they were probably going to melt off because, you know, I have oily eyelids and all of that, but I'm happy to say that they've actually kind of just stayed there. I saw a teeny weeny bit of creasing and I just went over it, and since then it's just stayed. So I'm really happy about that. And on this side you can see it's also the same. I'm just going to zoom in so you can look at my eyes. So yeah, you can basically see how pigmented this is. It's pigmented and it feels like it's just set exactly where I wanted it to set. I actually ended up using one of the shades in here as a bronzer in a sense. So I used Bandit Queen, that's that brown over there. So if you see any warmth coming, you know, from my cheeks and, you know, around here on my forehead and all of that, that was Bandit Queen. And I think that it blended really nicely into my skin. And I went over that with a blusher. So I used a cream blusher by Shina B Miami. I really like this blusher, and it's been sitting here, and I love using it for a lot of my looks because it's a cream blush. I'm kind of partial to cream blushes now. And for my mouth, I went in with this, which is I think it's a lip gloss by Ritual. It doesn't really have a super strong color, but it gives enough moisture to kind of make you feel like you're just done with the look. So I'm pretty happy with it. This is what it looks like. It's by Full Ritual, as you can see. This is very reminiscent of metals and gold and silver and all of that, which, you know, they were obviously mining for during that time. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm excited to see what Gold Rush is going to look like. So I have 4 more looks that I want to do for you. So we've actually finished like these 2 rows, like these 6 colors over here. The next look is going to be these 3, and then I'm going to move into the cool section, which I'm really excited for. Alright, welcome to the next tutorial. We're going to be going in with Deadwood. You've already seen me use this shade, so I'm just going to, I think, probably change the shape a bit of my eyes because I don't want to do the same thing that I did the last time, so I'm going to make it round this time. So I'm going in with the first shade. It's going to be Garnet. I'm going to put that right here. Garnet has a red kind of finish going on with it. So it's kind of like a reddish brown. Oh, that's actually really pretty. I wasn't expecting that color at all. It really looks like, you know, the earth in a sense on your eyes. Very nice. Okay, so the next color I'm going in with is Ghost Town, and I can't figure out if this is actually a duochrome or not because I can see shifts happening in my palette. So, wow. Oh, I really like this color. It is so pretty. It's such a pretty pink. I don't even think I have this pink in my collection. So far, all the shimmers have had that really nice, very creamy consistency to them. And just look at that. It's like, it just, wow, it just goes over your eyes like one of these liquid eyeshadows almost. It's really nice. So yeah, this is that look. Now let's go for the next look. I'm going in with the shade Ghost Town. It's a really pretty light kind of green shade, and I'm really interested to see how this is going to work. So this one's going to have 2 matte shades, and I'm going to be creating that same circle kind of shape on this side too. In next with Skinner's Saloon. This is a bluey kind of gray. Okay, so now I'm going in with Fool's Gold. Got it on my brush already. Okay, so I think this is the 4th look, more or less. That gray ended up looking very much like a blue on my eyes, and that green kind of reminds me of a very, it kind of looks like a mint, but it's not a mint. I know it's not a mint because when I look at the palette, it doesn't look like a mint. So yeah, this is what it's looking like. I wasn't expecting it to look like this, but it's actually really pretty. Okay, so let me go and finish this up and then I will be back. Hey everyone, so this is look 3 and 4 completed, and basically I noticed that the beautiful shimmers in the palette, like they all have that consistent, you know, formula, and it's really creamy, really buttery, and I really felt like I was just painting my eyelids with them. And of course the mattes were really nice as well, but I'm really liking this formula. This has basically been on my eyes now for some time, and as you can see, it looks really nice. There's full coverage and everything, you know. Okay, so I just want to give you the makeup details. So for my face, I went in with Yansa Beauty foundations. Absolutely love them. For my lips, I went in with an Ulac lip gloss as well as the Nomad lip gloss. So this is rosy and this is pink glam. It's an icier kind of pink, but I felt that they went really well together. And then for my cheeks, I went in with Giorgio Armani Beauty. That would be the Luminous Silk Glow Blush in the shade Desire. It's a really nice warm pink, and you should be able to see it, you know, showing up on my cheeks, and I really like the color. Pearls that you can see on my eyes are definitely from Shein or Temu. And I think that's really about it. Welcome to the 5th and 6th tutorial. We finished 12 shades. We're going to be going in with the last 6. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I may add on a couple of extra shades as we're working on this. Let's just have some fun. But I am very drawn at the moment to Calamity Jane, so I'm going to be going in with that. I think that it's lovely that they gave Calamity Jane a shade. I'm very curious as to why they gave her this shade though. If you have not read Westerns, you should definitely go and check her out. You'll probably come across Wild Bill Hickok and Bill Cody and like just a whole lot of really fascinating characters. Okay, so for this one I'm going to do, you know, both of my eyes at the same time. So I'm just going to go in with Dead Man's Hand, which is a beautiful navy blue, and I'm going to put that on the other side and you can see what that's looking like. I think that my eyes look more or less equal now, so I'm going to be going in with the next shade. So I think that'll be Stagecoach Mary. So this is a really pretty green. Let's just take that and put that, I think, here. Looks like a nice sage green. As you can see, it is really, really pigmented. I'm connecting it to that other green. I hope that you can see the difference in color. I'm also going to go in with Arrested Decay, which is a brown. Okay, well, this is looking really, really nice. So now what I'm going to do is obviously go in with the shimmers. So we're going to grab the NYX Multitasking Medium. This is a really, really good product. It's really good if you have oily eyelids. So I'm going to start with this one over here. I'm going in with a brush like this. It's not exactly flat. It's a little round and it's a bit poofy. You can see it's a bit thicker than a normal brush. I like to use that to go in with my shimmers because I just feel like they pick up shimmer shades so much better. This is the shade Calico. Let's put this over here. Wow. Just look at that. That is beautiful. Such a lovely green. Well, let's go in with the other shade, which is Smoky Quartz. Now, I was really excited about Smoky Quartz because it looks like a gray, and then I can see specks of blue and pink in the color. So this is what it looks like on my brush. So what do you think? I actually really like Smoky Quartz. It's such a pretty shade. I don't think I have one like this in my collection. Like, I usually don't have a ton of grays, so I just like it. And I don't know if you can actually see the sparkles. I'll take some shots and then, you may be able to see them a bit better. Hey everyone, so these are what looks 5 and 6 look like. You can see, the greens, and then you can see the gorgeous grays and the blues. So before we get into my review, let me give you the makeup details. So for my eyes, I obviously used my P. Louise base. I always use that before I go in with anything, and it looks like this. It is a 30 ml one. A little goes a very long way, and I don't know when I'm going to be finishing this, but it's a really nice product, and it definitely helps to get the colors to be a lot more pigmented, when you're applying eyeshadow and that kind of thing. So the crystals on my eyes are all from Temu, and from Shein I bought quite a lot of them, and you can go and check those out for yourself. They're very inexpensive, and they come in things like this. So it's also something that's going to last for a very long time. For my glue, I went in with the Strip Lash Adhesive by Kiss. That's this one over here. This is for my lashes as well as for the rhinestones on my eyes. For my eyebrows, I use this, which is my Ulac Brow Kit in the shade Strawburn. You can get this at a discount if you use my code, which is on the screen. And then for my foundation, I went in with Yensa. I didn't want to use too much of this on my skin. I use very minimal foundation nowadays because I've noticed that makeup dries it out like crazy. So I'm trying to actually not use a lot of makeup, especially over here underneath my eyes. I've noticed a lot more wrinkles, and I just need to be a lot more careful now because I am aging. Oh my goodness. The next thing that I used was my Woosh Beauty face palette. So I love using this palette for a variety of different things. One thing was to actually clean up that excess white shade that I get on my eyes because I'm using the P. Louise base, and I really like using these things over here. They're called the blenders. So I use this one on a poofy brush, and I just go and I clean up all the places that have a ton of white, and it just becomes, it kind of just goes back to my skin color, which I really like, and it just brightens up the place too. So I like that. And then on top of that, I also used number 3s, which are the contours. I love using these. This is the white one to brighten up your face. That one is to give warmth, and as you can see, I do have a bit of warmth. I really love using this. It's something I take with me even when I travel because it is just so convenient, and I do have a code, so if you want to get that, you can. For my highlighter, which I didn't apply highlighter to my cheeks, but I did put a little bit here and here in the corners, inner corners of my eyes. So I went in with the Aspen palette from BH Cosmetics. I got this for like $5 or something at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. It was so worth it, and I love this palette. It works really, really well even now. For my mouth, I went in with multiple shades. So I went in first with Juvia's Place in the shade Libra. Libra is a really pretty, like, coral kind of shade. As you can see, it's really, really nice, and I do like using the shade, but I felt that it wasn't deep enough for me, so I decided to kind of reinforce that with 2 products. I went in with Full Ritual over here. It's kind of like a lip gloss, slight orange kind of tint going on there, but it wasn't strong enough, so then I went over that with this Ulac lip gloss in the shade Trophy Boy, which is very orange, as you can see, and that's essentially how I got my mouth to look the way that it was looking. And before I forget, one of the most important products, especially if you've got oily eyelids, is this Multitasker Mixing Medium. I use it for every single look, so if you ever, if I ever don't mention it, it doesn't mean that I'm not using it. I absolutely do. So I'm literally using one base for my matte shadows, and I use this base for the shimmers. Any shimmer, any kind of shimmer at all, I have to use this because I know it's going to melt off my eyes if I don't. So this has worked really, really well. I don't see any creasing whatsoever. I also went in with my e.l.f. face primer, and this was basically over the entire face. I went over that with the Yansa foundation, which I mentioned just now. It's time to give my feedback on this. So I obviously love the mattes. I think that they blended beautifully, and if I just bring you in a bit closer, you can see how, those shimmers look as well. They really look lovely. So the final conclusion, I really like the palette. You can see what my palette looks like now that we have finished doing all those 6 looks and testing out every single shade. And I tried to stay as true to each row as I possibly could, and we were going in 3s, right? So yeah, I've tested out all the shades, and I think that this is a beautiful palette. I really like the way that the colors look on my eyes. I feel like you can get smoky looks from this, very deep looks, and then at the same time, my goodness, my favorite part of this palette was definitely the formula of the shimmers. Now, I'm someone who has oily eyelids, and I loved this formula. I feel like it worked very, very well for me. You can look at this eye, and you can look at this eye, and you can see just how beautiful they are. Even in the other 2 looks, the formula of these shimmers really stood out to me. They are extremely buttery. They are so buttery and so much fun. It's just so easy to take a brush and get it to glide over your eyes. I feel like I could do this with a finger. They're just so wonderful. I mean, obviously I didn't want to use my fingers, but they just work so well. Absolutely love the mattes. And then when you look at the color story, it definitely feels very, very true to, like the Wild West. I mean, especially when you look at this, I mean, I definitely think about, those dusty towns, and I really liked, that shade. That was a really nice shade. It is genuinely hard for me to pick a favorite shade from this palette. Like, I just love all of them together. I think that they worked so beautifully. I'm actually pretty excited because I have more looks coming up. So usually I don't, but because I love Westerns, I love the Wild West, I love Red Dead Redemption, I went and I have a little surprise coming out for you guys tomorrow, and then the day after that as well. And I hope that you like them. They're going to be a couple more tutorials, but this particular review is basically about testing out all these shades, and I have to say I absolutely love them. I think that they're gorgeous shades. So the color story is absolutely beautiful. Something else that I really like is that you can use these brown shades over here to warm up your face, especially if you have a skin tone like mine. You could easily use these to warm up your faces and contour. Some of these shimmers are absolutely gorgeous. I'm pretty sure you could use these as highlighter shades as well if you wanted to. I didn't actually do that yet, but since we are having more looks coming our way, well, I think that they would actually look absolutely amazing as highlighters. So honestly, yes, the top 9 shades definitely remind me of like a very dusty kind of like old town. It reminds me of the mining. It reminds me of, all these things that they were mentioning in their stories, and about gold miners and everything really. It just gives off a Red Dead Redemption vibe so well, and I love that. And then even these colors, I really like them because it reminds me of the mountains. If you actually play the game, you'll see the way the landscape is. It's absolutely gorgeous. It even reminds me a little bit of the mountains and the snow. So I really like these shades as well, and I feel like I'm going to be definitely dipping into these colors again and doing a lot more looks with this because it just reminds me so much of the Red Dead landscape, which is obviously based on, what the Wild West was like in the past. So yeah, I think that the Ghost Town palette is wonderful. I think that if you like grungier shades and at the same time you just love shimmers, you're going to really have a lot of fun with this palette. I like that they gave us an equal selection of mattes and shimmers in this palette, and I feel like the shades are unique. I feel like some of the shimmers are very, very unique. When I'm thinking about other Nomad palettes, I think that, the formula of the mattes has always been really good. This one is the same. Excellent formula when it comes to the mattes, and now the shimmers seem to have gotten that upgrade, which is fascinating. So the one shade that really has me fascinated is this one, which is Ghost Train. I wonder if Ghost Train is actually like a duochrome, mostly because it looks like a brown in some lights and then it looks like a pink in other lights. So it's very interesting. I don't know if this is a duochrome or not though, but if my video review helped you to decide whether or not you wanted to pick up the palette, then I would love if you could help me by using my code. It is Ranita for 10% off. This is a non-affiliate code, but it does show that you support me and I'm very grateful for that. So yes, even if you don't want to use the code, that's fine though. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you soon for more of my ghost town makeup tutorials. Today, this is all that I have for you, and I hope that you have a wonderful time playing with this palette. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye!